Hi, I'm Heather Land, Senior Director of Merchandising at Dollar General, and you're listening to the CPG Guys.
Welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. Your hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys. Hello and welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. I'm your incorrigible co-host and co-founder, PVSB, who also moonlights as head of industry and client engagement at Flywheel, the commerce acceleration division of Omnicom. Joining me today, as always, he's my co-founder of this enterprise, chief revenue officer for Think Blue Consulting, and patriarch of the Raj family media empire, his incredibly successful pop star daughters, Rhea and Lara, and his wife, who's a podcaster. I used to be able to say his 3 cats even had more Instagram followers than her. But Shri, you're going to have to tell me about what's been going on with your TikTok account blasting up. We just got back from a trip to Ithaca, New York, where we were presenting at Cornell's Food Executive Program. He's the man known as Shri. Shri, what's going on, man? Tell me about this TikTok phenomenon.
First of all, Peter, it was a pleasure to have done a 4-hour road trip with you from Ithaca down to Nowheresville, Beacon, New York.
I think the first half hour we didn't say even a word. But it was 6 a.m. and neither one of us had anything to say.
At 6 a.m. it's grumpy time, so I think we'll forgive those 45 minutes or so. Peter, we're happy and blessed as a family that both kids have made it in the music industry. This morning, MTV informed us that they're going to feature both kids in the month of July. I sent you the clip. And then to my shock and surprise, I wake up, it's already on Instagram, it's already on TikTok. Can't ask for more. We waited for this moment, and Cat's Eye, as you know, is completely taken off the road. We're going to Lollapalooza in a week and a half. Thrilled that I can be on an artist pass at Lollapalooza and don't have to wait in lines. And then Cat's Eye's road tour, of course, as you know, 21 cities, lots to look forward to. Now you asked me about TikTok fame for Shri. I have no idea, Peter, but now my posts are in the millions of views. So
Papa Raj.
I don't know whether it's the cats, the dog, or is it Shri's glamour factor? What do you think it is?
Yeah, Shri's got a new puppy. All I know, Shri, is this just screams out that the CPG guys, we've got to figure out our MySpace strategy because we don't have any game here. Heather thinks that funny. Yeah, I agree with you. Shri, thanks again, as always, for joining me. To our audience, make sure you're subscribing to our podcast on your preferred listening platform, where you can get our latest episodes and even go back to consume some of the over 500 episodes we've already published. Today, we're pleased to have as a guest a merchant from a national retailer with over 20,000 locations. Wow, Shri, that's a whole lot of territory. Of course, I'm speaking about Dollar General. Our guest has prior experience in food service, having worked at Cisco and private brands with time at Damon. For the last 8.5 years, she's been with Dollar General. In August of last year, she was promoted to Senior Director of Food Merchandising. Recently, Progressive Grocer named her to their prestigious list of top women in grocery. Please join Shri and me in welcoming to the podcast Heather Land. Heather, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I feel like I'm in the presence of royalty.
I feel that way with Shri every day. I think I'm the court jester. That's the difference.
Peter, one point to be noted, right? And I do want to make that comment because I have worked extensively with Dollar General in a past life, of course. 20,000 distribution points is how a CPG company should be thinking about this opportunity. For any one given SKU, a key SKU for that channel, 20,000 distribution points. No joke, my friend. Doesn't that make them number one from a distribution points for any given SKU?
It does. What's most interesting is for many, many communities, that is their retailer. That is their choice. I was in upstate New York, last weekend visiting my family, and we went to an event way up in the hills. We went through 2 very isolated towns, and the retailer of choice there, it was Dollar General. So they play to an incredible audience. We're gonna dig into that in a second.
Which means, Peter, CPG Guys is going to have to do a store tour of Dollar General. It's long overdue.
I think we have to do that. I think we do. So, Heather, what we're going to do in the digital liner notes of this episode, we're going to include links to your LinkedIn profile and Dollar General's LinkedIn page and URL so that our consumers who love to multitask while they listen to us chat away with you, they'll be able to satisfy their urges to learn more. But why don't we kick off? But why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit? I made some slight reference to your background and your experience, but would also, in doing so, would love to understand how you moved from food service into retail.
Yeah, definitely. Well, again, thank you so much for having me. So I have the pleasure of being the Senior Director of Merchandising for the center store food space at Dollar General. Like you mentioned, I've been doing that for I've been with DG a little over 8.5 years. I've been in this role for just over a year. I've always been in the consumable space, in the merchant space at DG since my time. I've been between food and the candy snack side, and I'm very passionate about it. I previously served, like you said, as in a role serving Dollar General with Damon and private label, and then I moved over to DG. And like I said, I'm very passionate about the space that we're in. I was in, like you mentioned, I was in food service for about 8 years. Prior to that, I actually started as an analyst, and then I moved into some sales roles. And I did appreciate that time. I find that I much more enjoy the retail space. I live here in Nashville. So I live actually just south of Nashville in the Franklin area. And I work up in our office, which is just north of Nashville, if you've ever been to the area, in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, in we call it our store support center. So the SSC, which is really what we consider ourselves. We support our stores and all the folks that are doing all the real work out in the field. And so that's what we do every day. You mentioned going up to up in New York last week with your family, and that's a lot. What I remember as a kid, we grew up and visited often a small town where my dad and all his family grew up in Northeast Ohio, and DG was really like the only shop in town. And I remember going there and getting candy, and it was a treasure hunt. What could I get? And I vividly remember that. And now as I reflect back, I think, that's still happening. We're still serving those small communities and how important that is. And so, I love that.
Awesome. Heather, 2 years in the making. Haven't seen you in a couple of years. Last time was I was in a different role. I'm in a media life right now. What a pleasure to see you again. Welcome to the CPG guys. We always get excited when we get to talk to merchants. One of the things that just came to the top of my mind, Heather, is the CPG guys haven't actually done a great job of being in store and bringing observations about what we see. There's such a changed environment in consumer habits, pre-COVID, COVID, post-COVID, and now the 2-year, 3-year post-COVID environment. You guys are serving such a valuable purpose for that consumer. So you have Gen Zs coming into the ecosystem every single day who have marketers that still focus on big box retail. Can you give us this simple 101? How do you explain Dollar General for someone who's unfamiliar with the retailer, moderately familiar with the retailer? We started the show by saying for any one given SKU, it's a 20,000 plus point of distribution opportunity. So how would you explain it to somebody unfamiliar or barely familiar?
Yes, I love that. I love that question. Thank you for asking it. I think that for someone who hasn't been into a Dollar General, maybe ever or lately, I think they would be very pleasantly surprised. A lot has changed since we first pioneered the first dollar store format more than 70 years ago. With our continued growth and business model enhancements, our product selection, our store formats, continuing to evolve and meeting the changing needs of our customers. I mean, I think you may be, not you, but, people may be surprised what we have in our stores from leading national brands, right? General Mills, Kraft, Smucker, Procter Gamble, Unilever, and then also, a wide assortment of private brands. And then we also do fun things, in the news recently is our partnership with, Dolly Parton. So, I think, we do really exciting stuff. Our team of merchants, we maintain focus, obviously, on value. That's number one, but also on curating a compelling assortment of everyday essentials, at the lowest prices that we can. Like I mentioned, the Dolly Parton, assortment that we've launched, it's got a lot of recognition. It's really awesome. It plays in different spaces in our non-consumable world, all at a value. I think it was so successful. I heard they're launching another display in Christmas. So you'll have to look out for that. We recently launched in our cosmetic space with e.l.f. brands. I know that's a very popular cosmetic brand, very focused on value. An interesting fact, 80% of our stores are located in communities with 20,000 people or less. And so, the strategy, DG's strategy to serve the underserved, I think that really aligns with e.l.f.'s mission of making beauty accessible to all. And so those are the types of partnerships and relationships that we're building. I know that my daughter loves e.l.f. makeup. She's 10. So, we're serving her as well. And then I think also, getting back to like the grocery and center store space, I think folks would be surprised with the amount of just fresh dairy, deli, frozen food that we have available. I mean, you can come in and get pizza, chicken, hot dogs. Oh, and then you can walk into the bread aisle and get hot dog buns. And then you can walk down the condiments aisle and get ketchup and mustard and relish. And then you can walk over to the aisle and get some fun plates and napkins and I mean, we really have a little bit for everyone. And it's a fun shopping experience, but it's also quick and convenient and easy. I would say, unlike some of, some other retailers where it's big, large format boxes, we have a small box. And so that does make shopping easier and quicker and sometimes just more satisfying in that way. And then, one thing last thing I'd like to point out too, I think a lot of people don't realize we're broadening our reach from a fresh fruit, produce perspective. We have over 6,700 stores, I think it is now, with fresh fruits and vegetables available, which actually is more than any other retailer or grocer in the United States per points of distribution. We're really proud of that. And that's something that we're continuing to look at. So,
well, first of all, congratulations on all the growth. But Peter, here's the thought that came to my mind. Is a visit to Nashville on the cards for the CPG guys now that we heard there's a partnership also with Dolly Parton?
Sheree, I think that you and I are going to be in Nashville in November. So
that's correct.
I have a feeling that we may be.
I didn't say it just because
we may be co-opting Heather to do a little visit to Dollywood, and after we're done, maybe stopping by the Loveless Cafe for some biscuits because I crave those. My favorite place to go eating after I've been honky tonkin'. And Sheree, I have a feeling we're going to be honky tonkin'.
That's a good idea.
So Heather, let me follow up because you talked about it in your role of food. Given the fact that in many communities, Dollar General is their only retailer, what role does food and beverage play in Dollar General's overall go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, I would say for 85 years that Dollar General has been in existence, we've served millions of Americans with convenient access to products that they need and prices that they can afford. And that's what we're going to continue to do. While we aren't a grocer, we care about and are invested in the health and wellness of our communities. Like I previously mentioned, with more than 6,700 points of distribution with fresh produce, that's something that we're continuing to go after. Our neighborhood general store operates in a wide variety of communities, often in locations that other retailers have chosen not to go or are just simply not. And so we're really there to help meet our customers' needs. An interesting fact, we actually have a Dollar General within 5 miles of 75% of Americans. With the stores, that we serve. And so, that just speaks to how broad our reach is. Interestingly enough, Todd Bezos, our CEO, shared in our last Q1 call that 60% of our core shoppers noted that they felt the need to sacrifice some necessities in the coming year. And that is why we stay so laser focused on maximizing value while providing the items that she wants and needs. I mean, I feel our role, it's vital now more than ever. Our customers are really depending on us to stretch their dollar.
No doubt about it. You serve a very important purpose, as you said, now more than ever, right? So we'd love to jump into the mind of the customer, who's shopping, what are they shopping? What do you feel are the primary motivators for the Dollar General shopper? Is it convenience? Is it assortment? Is it quick and go? Is it value? Or is there some other factor that the CPG guys just aren't aware of?
Yeah. I would say it's D, all of the above. I think we serve a lot of all those things that you mentioned. We stay laser focused on all those things. We're motivated by all those things, but like I mentioned, we're within 5 miles of 75%, and we go that last mile, where others won't. So it really is about that reach. And like you said, we are that quick in and out. You can go in if you want to go in and grab a drink. We know one of our biggest trip missions is a beverage. You go in and you can go in and grab a Coke and a snack, and you can be back in your car in just a few minutes. And then we have that wide variety of value if you are looking for more of that fill up or fill in trip. And then we really, really are so focused on value and competitive pricing. We really, we're very competitive. I think some may not realize how competitive we are. We are better, I would say, than most retailers from a competitive price standpoint. We are very proud, and we offer a lot of great values, and I think one thing is the world is emerging in ways that people look for value, and all the ways that they can find deals. And, our shoppers' habits are just evolving and changing so quickly. We've evolved as we have needed to and have to with that, so we have our circular we've had forever, you think print ad. And then we have that on digital, right? And so we have our weekly ad where we showcase our items, that have sales or just some of our new assortment or things like that. But then we also have our app, which if you don't have our app, I would highly encourage you to get it. It's great, where we have extra digital coupons. We have so many digital coupons. And then we also have cash back offers. And then we also have a very popular, for our shoppers, they know it well, we call our bounce back, which is our 5 off 25 that we run on a lot of Saturdays. So you can get just 25, or if you buy $25, you get 5 off. And then we also have month-long promotions, always constantly rotating and running in the store. So we have a lot of ways. I know we have a lot of smart shoppers, savvy shoppers. They're knowing how to stack and do all the things. And then, we also have approximately 2,000 items that are still under $1. And so, when I talk about, what we talk about value, like those are all the different ways that we're constantly trying. There you go. There he's holding the app up. I love that. That we're constantly trying to provide value to our shoppers.
I used to call Shri a crazy coupon lady, but then he reminded me, no, he's actually a savvy shopper. And I think that's a more avid description.
Yeah, a little known fact, Peter. When I first moved from brick and mortar to e-commerce back in 2012, DG had the 5 of 25, one of the earliest pioneers of digital couponing. I don't know if the industry even knows that, but I observed it back in 2012.
Okay.
I am a DG shopper. That's why I have the app.
The store in Hollywood is right next to the Dolce & Gabbana store, right? Is that how it works?
La Brea Avenue, that's my store.
La Brea. Okay, there we go.
Now Heather knows that.
Okay, good. And let me remind our audience that today, Shri and I have the pleasure of speaking with Heather Land. She's the Senior Director of Merchandising at Dollar General. So Heather, given DG's expansive footprint, how are you using that to make an actual positive impact when it comes to providing for and serving others in these communities where your stores are located?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think having access to affordable everyday essentials like household goods and nutritious foods, it's a challenge for many communities and families. Some areas there just isn't a grocery store, or maybe someone doesn't have reliable transportation to get to the next town, wherever the closest grocery store is. So, with our more than 20,000 stores across America, our reach, like I said, it's very broad. we are uniquely positioned, I believe, to combat hunger by offering convenient access on a variety of nutritious foods at affordable prices. We often say internally, we serve the underserved. And our mission is serving others. And so, those are really words that we live by, and we live through what we do every day. And we actively respond to community needs. We get calls, we get handwritten letters, people asking us to serve their communities, to bring produce, bring fresh vegetables. And we always try to, we review all of those and accommodate those requests as best we can. Because we know that it's an issue, and we are actively always trying to help in that way.
How awesome. I will never debate. You guys have a very important role to play. You always have, you do now. I do want to correct myself earlier. I don't want to say digital coupons. I want to say you guys are one of the earliest to embrace the digital journey and offer value to the shopper. So what I did want to follow up on, Heather, is given that expansive footprint, you guys are one of the best observers of what does value mean to a consumer. There was a value sense pre-COVID that completely changed in COVID because there was a supply chain crisis, and it was more about I just need access to everyday consumables. And then in a post-COVID environment, the last couple of years with inflation, et cetera, the whole notion of value has changed again. How do y'all think of, and value just isn't a price, it's so much more. So how does Dollar General think?
Just hear a y'all. Did I hear you say a y'all?
Yeah, I say y'all. One of the industry known secrets. She went to school at Virginia Tech, spent time in Virginia, so he's got the y'all. He also says
He's from Southern California.
he also says sir and ma'am, so nobody get offended.
Well, I'm just teasing. I appreciate the question about value. I think that for our shopper, value means a lot of things depending on where she is. We say she because we know value our BFFs, our core customer. We call them BFFs. They're our best friends forever. We're highly educated, and we understand our shopper very well. And we understand that value can mean a lot of things to her depending on where she is in her journey. Value can mean having those dollar items because she literally only has a couple dollars, and she can come in and get something, in hair care, and something in the household, and some food for her family. Or value means, she is getting that stock up trip, right? Value means she can make that holiday meal at an affordable price because we have all these bundle deals and things like that. Or she can, shop for the week and fill up, her kid's lunchbox with things that she, feels good about. If she can get milk and yogurt and put a healthy breakfast on her kid's plate, before they're off to school. So I really think value is such an important word, but it can really mean a lot to, to who that shopper is, what their situation is. And we do try and have a solution for all of those situations.
And speaking of that very value, one of y'all's priorities back 3-4 years ago, at the tip of COVID, was really increasing your footprint on food, beverages, grocery, fresh, etc. And I was lucky enough to be able to participate in the early outreach. Congratulations. I think you said 6,700 stores. Was that the number? So congratulations on getting to nearly a third of the footprint, which is amazing. So could you give us a couple examples, maybe, or recent examples that illustrate that very impact of making a positive impact when it comes to for providing and serving the community in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned, the fresh fruit and produce is huge, and we've talked about that. But we have an amazing merchant team. I'm very lucky. We all are very lucky. We have folks on the team that are constantly looking at the assortment. They're looking at trends. They're looking at, data and insights. And we have great, partners that help us with that. Some examples, in the food space specifically, condiments comes to mind. So we, private brands are a big space for us. And we rolled out a bunch of new private brand condiments, like different flavors of wing sauces, chicken dipping sauce, new dressings, new flavors of barbecue sauce. And, in our breakfast space, if you go down the breakfast aisle, we have You think about single serving cups. Those have been really successful for us new this year. We've also expanded, we talk about value, we've expanded bag cereal, right? So really getting a lot for the amount of money that you're spending on some cereal. We also have fun things like Minecraft fruit snacks and Mott's fruit bars and Nature Valley, strawberry wafer bars. Again, just talking to the constantly, those are all new. So rotating the assortment to meet our customers' needs. Isotonics has been another big one. We've doubled our space in isotonics in a lot of our stores. And so, like from fun prime flavors, I know that's a big thing. And then, multi-packs to serve those families or single serve offers, whether it's, ambient or cold. Like I said, the merchant team does such a great job, just always looking at what the customer wants. And then we're responding to that.
Sheree, I don't know if you know this. I actually mapped out how far it is from my house to the Dollar General on Foxen Road in North Branford, 4.9 miles. So I fall into that 75% that are within 5 miles of a Dollar General.
Mine is 3.6.
I just made it.
Just barely. Yeah.
You are much closer, but I think I get there faster because you're in LA. You're in LA.
But I have a choice of multiple Dollar General stores within a 10-mile radius. I can pick and choose.
You probably do it.
Do you have a favorite?
La Brea is my favorite. That's why I called it out. Kudos to that store manager for keeping the store clean and keeping the assortment in stock. So whoever the store manager is, La Brea Avenue, you're doing something right.
Oh, good. Yeah, we'll have to make sure they get a call out.
So when we talk about value, price is a big player, but it's not the only player. You made mention, what if someone can't get to their car, or the thought of loading their 4 kids into the car to drive 5 miles is a bit daunting. To further your reach of serving others, you're now offering delivery services. Can you expand on what you have available and what the footprint is?
And I want to append to that question, Heather. Here on the CPG Guys, we both come from the industry. We're practitioners. We know she's boss. We know she's your BFF, but she's very busy. So it's important to help her. So that's what we're really trying to understand.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. We know she's really busy oftentimes. I know a lot of people, they work multiple jobs and, we all have busy lives and kids and a lot of places to be. So, at DG, we do strive to make it, how can we evolve to make shopping, hassle-free while still affordable, and DoorDash, our partnership with them has allowed us to unlock that. So we kicked off our DoorDash partnership back in 2021 to offer, that post-COVID, in COVID, to offer that on-demand delivery of household essential items, everything that we have in the store. And then the partnership, it continues to exceed our initial expectations. Through Q1 through this year, Todd talked about it. I believe, the platform increased more than 50% versus prior year. So it's really a growing platform for us. Additionally, and I didn't mention this earlier, but, we accept SNAP and EBT in our store, which is also a way that we can serve our shopper. As of March this year, we now can accept that SNAP and EBT payment through our DoorDash partnership in over 16,000 locations. So just another way we're helping give that reach and that access. And so, it's just Dollar General's mission of serving others. And so one other thing that I think is exciting, and so just this year we have unveiled DG delivery, which is like our white service through our DG website directly, in partnership with DoorDash. And we have that up and running, I think, in 3,000 stores, and with the hopes of having that, I think, around 10,000 stores by the end of the year. And so it just shows how we're constantly evolving in that space, and kudos to that team at the way they're rapidly working to help serve our shoppers and all that. So, and the good thing about moving it to our, through our website is they can add in all the digital coupons and layer in all the things that we were talking about earlier. So we're just trying to evolve to make it the best shopping experience, meaning the best value, but also the most convenient.
So on that very topic, for the benefit of our huge audience here who listens in, could you help them understand on the DG home delivery that you mentioned? are there minimum order quantities or thresholds, or how does that service work? You just go to the website, you can shop. Can you do it from the app?
And so, I believe that it's still evolving. I know that you can shop just like you would on DoorDash. I believe that is still evolving.
That is so awesome, Heather. So now I'm going to come back to the consumables mix, and one of the important topics in our industry is innovation, and as well as assortment expansion, efficient assortment, getting the right assortment in store. How does Dollar General and you in particular approach getting to the right efficient assortment in store and online? And then how do you talk to your partners? Now, Sri might have some unfair privilege knowledge about how innovation works, but for the benefit of our audience, how do you see innovation? What is your approach to innovation? And then what is your approach to efficient assortment?
Yeah, no, I love that question. And so with so many stores, like we've talked about, today we offer a lot of brands that everyone knows and loves, Coke, all the major CPGs. I would say we carry assortment with them. But that being said, we're always looking to evolve, have innovation, listening to what our shoppers want, and to make sure that we can still excite her and delight her when she comes into our store and finds something new. And so we're always looking, for that. We are a small box format though. And so we're always constantly pushing our partners to make it, we call it, to DDG it, right? To make it work for Dollar General. Meaning maybe it's a smaller case pack and things like that to help optimize it. Something that we've done, you've heard Todd talk about it, is back to basics, where we're trying to make sure, that stores are clutter-free and clear. We want to make it a pleasant shopping experience. And so that being said, as we're working through inventory and working through product assortment, we have to make sure it works within our small box format. We're also, I would say we're also always evaluating our private brand solutions and seeing where we can bring in more variety and value there. We know that when customers are trying to stretch their budget, really, really now, especially now with, how stretched our shoppers are, private brands are a great solution. And we want to make sure that we're delivering on those needs. Our Clover Valley brands, which is our private brand in our food space, they're offered all across our center store section, and they're 100% guaranteed. They're formulated just to be like the national brands. And you think, we have innovation like new coffee syrups and electrolyte drink mixes, new cereals and coffee pods and dressings. And then we have basics. We have our private brand, baking needs and things like that. And so it's really, it's a combination of offering value and looking at new assortments that way. And then, evolving to make sure that what we're looking at fits within our small box format.
What a terrific conversation this has been, Shri. This is incredibly awesome. Heather, we want to thank you for taking time out of your week to speak with the CPG guys about all the exciting things going on at Dollar General. We're really appreciative of you sharing with us where you've been and where you're going. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I also want to congratulate you on all the success, especially 6,700 outlets now, or distribution points, or stores with the Fresh.
Shri, thanks as always for joining me on this journey. To our audience, if you like what we're doing, let us know. The way you do that is, particularly if you're on Apple and Spotify, just scroll down and give us a star rating. Our favorite number is 5, but it's up to you what you want to do. And while you're doing that, leave us some words. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you want more of, what you want less of, and we'll tailor this podcast to kind of suit your needs. We appreciate you twice a week listening into our conversations. We look forward to speaking with you on the next episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Goodbye. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.